So today's subject, good morning by the way from Dumaguete City. Today's subject is going to be your frets and do you need them leveled? I get a lot of inquiries about, I think I need new frets or I think my frets need leveling. And they might. So let's talk about the 3 or 4 things that may be happening and what we can do. The first thing, I'm going to start with the simplest and go to the most complicated. The first thing is you have a fret or two with light indentations caused by string wear. In this case, sometimes the indentations are so light that you can buffer polish them out, and it's a relatively easy thing for me to do. Other times they're a little bit deeper, and I will take a small file and go to that one fret, file that fret, get rid of the indentation, probably have to recrown the fret. We'll talk about that in a minute. Sometimes in that process, you have to do the adjacent fret as well because you've thrown things off level a little bit. But that's usually a relatively simple repair. Let's go up one level. Let's say you have fret indentations across many frets at many strings. At that point, you probably need a fret leveling. There's another reason you might need a fret leveling, which is that your frets are not level. They are not flat. You put a straight edge to a, put a straight edge. Let's show the straight edge down on your frets. And we see no matter what we do or any truss rod tweak, the frets are not level. This can occur for several reasons. A typical one is just over a period of years, fret wear has been inconsistent and you may have unlevel frets. So if you have fret indentations or not level frets or a combination of the two, then we do a fret leveling. I take a very large file, and over the years I've collected several large Nicholson old files, and I file the frets with the file. The most high-tech tool that I need to use in this process is this, a Sharpie. I hit each fret with the Sharpie, so I've got a black reference line, and as I'm filing, I can see what material is being taken away based on the Sharpie. So very high-tech. So now we have flattened the frets, and each fret at that point is flat. It has lost its crown. So then what we have to do is recrown. And I use my crowning files. Can't really see it. Let's see if I can. But there's a curve inside the file. So when you file the fret, you're putting back the crown, the curved piece of the fret at the top of the fret. Sometimes after I've done a leveling, I need to use my fret file to get rid of some high spots, at the edges of the frets. This is my fret file for doing that. At that point, we've got crowned frets, and now comes sort of the physical work. There's a large amount of buffing and polishing to polish the frets to as close to a mirror shine as we can get them, and make sure that any imperfections, any remaining file marks are gone, and your frets will shine and gleam and be beautiful and will work very, very well. So that's a fret leveling. Usually after I do a fret leveling, I have to reset the instrument because the change in the frets has caused perhaps action changes. So we will check at the nut, check at the bridge, check the truss rod, and see if anything needs to be tweaked. It probably does. So that's a fret leveling. Now let's go to the granddaddy. You need new frets. Now what might cause you to need new frets? One, the indentations in the frets are so deep that leveling them out is not reasonable. I mean, I've seen frets where the indentations actually went down to the fretboard. Number two, your frets have been leveled multiple times in the past, and there's no longer enough material, enough metal to do another leveling. So at that point, I would recommend new frets. Again, my first my first goal would be, can I level them without replacing the frets? But if we cannot, then we have a fret replacement. There is one other reason that people replace frets, and that is they want different kinds of frets there. They have a regular sized fret and they want a jumbo, or maybe vice versa, or they want a different material in the frets. That's also a reason that someone might want to replace their frets. But usually the reason is the frets are simply so worn that they have to go. At that point, again, very high tech, we use this combination, fret pullers, and gently, carefully, because fingerboards that are older have to be treated with great care, remove the frets. And once we remove the frets, I'm going to look at the fretboard. Sometimes the fretboard needs to be leveled itself. And if I need to do that, I do it the least amount of leveling I can get away with. Sometimes it may also have a little chip, and we can fill that chip. Once that's done, I put in new fret wire. I use Jesker fret wire, which is arguably the best fret wire in the world, and hammer in the frets, old, very traditional way. By the way, here's our Jesker fret wire. Fret hammering, done as the name implies with a fret hammer, brass hammer. Here's my couple. So we pound in, did I say nail? No, we don't nail. We pound in the frets. Then we have to, again, go back, level them, recrown them, file off the ends, and with a combination of materials, smooth and polish the frets to a mirror shine. So refretting is a bigger job. Sometimes it needs to be done, sometimes not. If we can avoid it, we will. So I thought I'd give you at least an overview, because a lot of times people freak out and they say, my frets are no good, and that may or may not be true. So those are the three most common things that we would do to frets. Fix a fret or two, level all your frets, or refret. I hope this helps in at least trying to determine what you might need. The easiest way to do it is to bring it to me, and then we can really decide what's the best strategy. But those would be the ones that I normally do. Thanks a lot.